Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I haven't been updating every week like I planned because I had to start a full-time job and I didn't get the chance to create a script. Um, so right now I'm reading off a script, like literally I've done 530 words and I'm reading off this while recording in the background. Um, I've been a bit busy lately, so I haven't had a chance to upload weekly like I did, or like I was going to, like I had planned to, and like I was going to do weekly updates on how I progressed. But like the last couple of weeks to 3 weeks, I've found a couple of different opportunities that I've been pursuing and trying to work my way through that. So I haven't had the time to do that. Um, so anyway, where I left off was talking to a script that was around 1,500 words. This ended up being around 17 minutes, and the goal of the video was to be around 10 minutes. Um, I found my word cadence, however, can be quite slow, and I speak twice as slow as what I should with a normal cadence. So my cadence was roughly around 63 words, and I would have liked it to be around 120 words because 120 words per minute, that is, because that's generally like Barack Obama and all the great speakers all have cadences around that. And saying that, I think I process thoughts a lot more quickly, but I just speak a lot slowly. So it can be hard. There's a kind of bottleneck between my thoughts and my speech, which is why I'm doing this YouTube videos, just to basically help me get better at communicating, but also uh, put a couple of my thoughts out there that I've had in my mind. Okay, so this week I'll be talking to a script that's about 500 words. This is going to be a bit brief, so I'll just outline one thing one general theme, I guess, of this video. So that will be um, how to obtain your first 1,000. Okay, and so what we'll do is literally do little steps you can take. So the first 1,000 you want to think of it as your production has to be greater than your consumption. So your production greater than your consumption, what does that mean? It means that you got to earn more and you got to spend less. So basically, your production is tied to your value in the market, and your consumption is the expenses you forego throughout the year. So in terms of production for this will be in the form of labor. For most people, this will be in the form of labor. And especially if you're getting to your first 1,000, this will be in the form of labor. This will be having a job and basically working out that job for a certain amount of hours that you get paid for per hour. Or if you're on a contract, if you perform that work, you will get paid for performing that work. So if we think about this in terms of the production in the form of labor, this essentially is your hourly rate, which you give your labor to the business. So you trade off your time for the labor, and in return, you get a per hourly wage. So this concept, then, if you're giving up time, that means that the only constraint is that you can work as long as you want, and if you by that nature, if you're giving up your time, your income is going to increase the more time you give up, providing that you get paid for those hours. So you can gross 100,000 as an Uber driver simply because Uber is essentially tied to a constant demand for labor. That is, that driving someone somewhere is always in demand. So Uber drivers will generally find that now it's a bit more saturated with the market, but generally Uber drivers will find that whenever they're within the app, they're ready to pick up someone. Someone is readily available to get sent from A to B. So there's that demand in the market for that. So then if you take that uh, you you can estimate your hours that you've done that, and that for Uber is roughly 27 hours. Um, and so people have basically worked 80 to 100 hours per week and grossed over 100K as an Uber driver just because they've put in the hours and driving people everywhere they wanted to go, basically just by giving up their time to drive someone somewhere, and in the return they get money for that. So the Uber average was $27 per hour, and that doesn't take into account, of course, petrol, depreciation of your vehicle and such. But the idea that you can get 100,000 from Uber just by giving up your time for 80 to 100 hours per week is a concept that is not very intuitive for people. So many people have done this, and all that is required is the amount of hours worked. So if you work backwards from 100 a year and divide that by $27 an hour, that is 3,703 hours required for labor. So I've done this calculation already. If you divide that by the number of weeks in a year, that is 72 hours required to work per week. However, if you can think of this as a full-time job, say if you earn $70,000 salary, you're paid, so in Australia, the full-time hours, I think, is 40 hours per week or 38 hours per week. So if you take your 70,000 that you get for your salary per year and you divide that by your number of hours worked, then you'll get your hourly wage. And so to get to that 100, because you've already been working the 40 hours, then to get to the 30, then you might do Uber, for instance, to make up that difference. Now, of course, there's tax involved, but you still will be earning that money as a gross sort of income. So say if you paid 40 hours per week, you do for your, say, corporate job, and then you choose to do Uber in the, say, after you finish work, that would mean that you would have to do Uber for 22 hours per week to get to the 100K. Because if you earn 70,000 a year, you need another 30,000, and you divide that number of weeks, it averages out to 22 hours per week to get to 100K. So that's how you earn $100,000 a year. And then you got to basically reduce your consumption. So your consumption, on the other hand, requires you to manage your income in two categories. So first you have your discretionary income, and then you have your disposable income. And your disposable income is income that is related to your living expenses, such as rent, utilities, groceries, clothes, transportation, and then the rest is just discretionary income. And this can take in the form of entertainment on weekends, like going to cafes, doing adventures, or it could just be daily, such as a Netflix subscription or even a gym membership, because this is still technically classed as entertainment or sort of leisurely spending, I guess. And so what you want to do is you want to try either manage your budget such that it reduces that and you can control that, or you can, and you can also overlay that with sort of different levels that you want to budget that to. So say a student obviously would have a different budget to someone who is a corporate lawyer and earning 100,000 a year. But that's not to say that a corporate lawyer can't have the same budget as a student. So one way to think about it is that you could increase your production to 100,000 per year, but you reduce your consumption to a student budget, say 20,000 to 30,000 a year. That then creates a difference of 70,000. Let's say you get taxed 37% or 40% for easy. That's still 60,000 that you minus off the 25, 30,000. So that's 30,000. So that's 30,000 per year that you could save. Okay, so the goal is to try and maximize our production and limit our consumption, and that is how you'll start making the difference in savings and how you'll get your first K. If you were to quantify it, the calculation would be your market rate or value. So that's what you're getting paid in your job at the moment, or if you were to do Uber, whatever the demand per hour hourly wage is at for that, times by the number of hours you worked minus the expenses, which gives you the savings that you've basically get net per week or per year. And then obviously you're going to use that money some way. You're not just going to keep it in a bank account. So even if you do keep it in a bank account, that's going to be providing you some sort of interest. So you've got to also look at the compounded annual growth rate on that, or your return on the money. So number of hours you worked times by the number of hours you worked minus the expenses from that gives you your savings. And then your savings basically times is that by the annual growth rate of your investments. Okay, so that's it for this week. And then next week I'm going to try film on an iPhone and see what that's like. I'll probably do it this week and try upload 2 because I've been a bit behind. So let's just see how this video has turned out, and hopefully it's been under the 10 minutes. Thank you.